Welcome to How I News. If you don't know, this is the show due to that hot jambalaya we call the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Well, I think you can. So with that, let's get into it.
Let's catch you up on what's happened.
Dilbert has been fired. The newspaper comic has been around for more than 3 decades. It spawned multiple best-selling books. It appeared in thousands of newspapers at its height, with its take on the frustrations of cubicle work life. But today, the syndicate that distributed Dilbert cut all ties with its author, Scott Adams, for blatantly racist remarks. Adams, on his YouTube show, referenced a poll by Rasmussen, that's a pro-Trump media company whose polls do not meet CNN standards. The poll suggested that 53% of black Americans indicated they agree with the statement, "It's okay to be white," leaving the other 47% to say they disagree or they aren't sure. We should note here the significance of that statement, "It's okay to be white." The Anti-Defamation League says that phrase has a long history in the white supremacist movement. So why Rasmussen was polling on it is anyone's guess. But here is some of what Adams said.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. The best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people.
In case you've been hiding under a rock, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, if you don't know Dilbert is basically a comic strip that plays on corporate drudgery and workplace humor. If you've ever worked in a cubicle, ever worked in an office, comedy is very understandable. It's in the same line of thought as The Office or any show basically that makes fun of day-to-day life in the workplace. And so this comic strip is very, very popular. It was syndicated across the United States, very popular. But the creator, Scott Adams, there's a difference I think everybody knows between a creator and their creation. So, Harvey Weinstein was instrumental in creating Pulp Fiction, but we kind of do a pretty good job of separating what people create from who they actually are. And this is an instance of that. Scott Adams has been problematic for a very long time. So let's first just talk a little bit about Scott Adams and him being problematic. And this is a very good article. It's from NPR. And it says, cartoonists say rebuke of Dilbert creator Scott Adams is long overdue. And this was on February 28th. And this was, this year, 2023. And basically, some of the things that they're talking about, there's actually, it's so bad that Scott Adams actually has a list of things that he's been reprimanded for, or at least brought up for in the past. Scott Adams, and this is where they talk about it, and I think this is the prevailing sentiment among cartoonists. This isn't new for Scott Adams. It says, but cartoonists say Adams has a long history of spewing problematic views. In the past, Adams has incorrectly described people who are not vaccinated against COVID as the real winners of the pandemic. He also questioned the accuracy of the Holocaust death toll. I mean, another of Adams' claims is that he has lost multiple job opportunities for being white. Just to give you an idea of how successful Scott Adams was, if you look up, Scott Adams currently has a net worth of about $20 million, and his comic strip was featured in 2,000 newspapers in 19 languages in 60 countries. So if he's lost job opportunities, he hasn't lost many, because he's in 2,000 newspapers in 19 languages in 60 countries. So But he's been saying pretty, things that would get, if you had a regular day-to-day job and you ever questioned, the Holocaust death count, you wouldn't have to worry about that job for long. Because most companies would end their affiliation with you before anybody woke up that morning. But Scott Adams has, decided that, so he's had a very long history of just saying, whatever comes to mind, no matter how terrible a view. But this one is caught my attention because people say dumb things all the time. Pick the person who says or does a dumb thing. But usually it's kind of an uninformed dumb thing, whether it's, Kanye West jumping on stage with Taylor Swift. That's just a stupid, dumb thing. Will Smith losing control of himself at the Oscars. That's a really stupid, dumb thing. But the thing about Scott Adams that really throws you for a loop is that he was actually reading a poll, and in the comfort of his own home, thought through this poll and then decided, hey, this is something I want to talk to the world about. And okay, so that actually is the part that I thought was interesting. The interesting part is that he believes, according to this poll, that nearly half of black people disagree with the statement of it's okay to be white. And that is a very funny thing to say based on this poll. If you just look at the numbers, the people that agree, black people that agree with the statement it's okay to be white is 53% of black people. They said it's okay to be white, and they're like, yeah, sure. 26% disagree and 21% are not sure. So if you read the poll with a simplistic eye, you would say, well, what did he say that was wrong? It was factually correct. Look, 47% of black people disagree or are not sure of the statement of it's okay to be white, and 53% agree. Now, let's first take this apart. Adams is trying to make an argument. His argument is that most black people agree with the statement, or most black people, nearly half of black people disagree with the statement of it's okay to be white. First of all, let's start with the question. It's okay to be white. This is not as straightforward as it appears. I know a lot of black people understand that it's not as straightforward as it appears, just because generally any people who are a minority group have to pay much closer attention to the temperature of the majority of group, just because you're smaller in number. If I walk into a bar and there are 100 people wearing Yankees caps, and there are 5 people in the corner wearing Mets caps, we definitely, by definition, actually this has happened to me. I've had to walk into a bar in Boston and I was wearing a Yankees hat, and and there were literally 200 people wearing Red Sox hats. I had to be a lot more careful about how I talked about the Red Sox than they had to be about how they talked about the Yankees. Just because I was one person, there was 200. So by definition, the same thing, it goes with any minority group anywhere. You have to pay a lot more attention to the larger group just because there are more of them. And if you're smart, you're going to pay more attention to what they think, what they say, different trends. You're just going to pay very close attention. Generally, if you don't know, you could ask somebody. And what you want to ask somebody is, what does it mean, the statement, it's okay to be white? There are a number of things that the statement can mean. First, it can mean, hey, is it okay for a person to be born white? And I think generally that is widely accepted, that it's okay. It's okay for you to be born anything among most people. It's okay for you to be born Indian. It's okay for you to be born Japanese. It's okay for you to be born European. It's okay for you to be born handicapped. It's okay for you to be born. Who controls how they're born? But that's not what this statement says. That would be a totally different statement that it's okay to be white. But that's one way to read it. Is it okay to be born white? That's not a big deal. That's not a real question. I think that would be a much less exciting poll. But what this statement says is it's okay to be white. So if you just Google it, just Google the term, it's okay to be white. If you Google it, the first thing that comes up is a statement from the Anti-Defamation League. If you look at the next result, it's from Wikipedia. If you look at the third, it's Campuses Confront spread of It's Okay to Be White posters. So what does this actually mean? Well, let's just go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is known to be more accurate than than most printed dictionaries. Actually, it's one of the most accurate information sources globally. It's just edited more, etc., etc. And what it is It's Okay to Be White is a slogan which originated as part of an organized alt-right trolling campaign on the website 4chan's discussion board. And what basically the slogan has been supported by white supremacists, including neo-Nazis. Media coverage of this event includes Fox News' host Tucker Carlson asking, what's the correct position? That it's not okay to be white? And so what this basically is, I mean, if you even go further, it says the background, the suggestion for the use of the posters with the saying originated on the message boards of 4chan with the intent to provoke reactions. The intent of this always to provoke reactions. The saying was later spread by neo-Nazi groups and politically organized white supremacists, including former Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard David Duke and the Dailies. I don't think you really have to say much more about it. This is, I mean, reactions. Many of the flyers were torn down, and some accused the posters of being covert, racist, and white nationalists. I think there's not really a lot more to say about it. So when you look at this poll, it actually changes the definition quite a bit. What the poll is not asking is a basic question, which would be a lot less exciting. It's who agrees with the statement of it's okay to be born white. I think you would have, 95% plus. There's always some crazies around, but you would have 95%. It would be overwhelming. Like, of course it's okay to be white. Who's going to look at a white baby and be like, oh, that's wrong, or a white toddler, or, a young kid, and be like, that's crazy. That would be ludicrous, but then the poll would be very boring. So what they did, in order to have a successful poll, you have to have everyone agree to the meaning of the question and understand the question in the same way. And by using that specific phrase of it's okay to be white, what they basically did was they conflagrated two different ideas.
This video is sponsored by paulinslist.org. Pauline's List is the #1 site in news discovery. You want to search for news? Go to Google. You want recommendations for news? Go to Yahoo. But if you want to discover news, discover what's actually new, go to paulinslist.org. That's paulinslist.org, where you can browse all the headlines, save articles for later, and use your own intelligence, not artificial intelligence, to decide what you want to read. That's paulinslist.org.
Signing off. Peace. Hey, if you like this video, please smash that like button and hit subscribe. We would love to see you again. So take it easy. Peace.